Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is about 106 newspaper headlines from Terry Bennett. As you know, we've talked about Terry Bennett a lot. In my opinion, he is a credible source that is hearing from God. And what I want you to see in these is in the mouth of two or three witnesses. We have had, I think it was 2 days ago, I had lots of newspaper headlines from Cornerstone and several other people. You know, if someone says pretty much word for word the same headline, then you can count on that. And I think that's what we're looking for here. We're not looking to see if they got every one of them correct, because some of them may have already been fulfilled, and some of them may be years before they're fulfilled. I hope many years. Anyway, so that's our objective, is to ask ourselves as I go through them, have we heard the same or a similar headline from some of the other people? And I've also asked for researchers. Well, you researchers out there, here's your assignment. And that is in the download section at prophecyclub.com, I've got a Word file there called Prophetic Headlines. Prophetic Headlines. It's free, has all of these headlines, along with Cornerstone and all of the headlines we have, all in one file. Now, what I'd like for you to do is to download that. Two things. One is to go through and see which headlines line up that are basically saying the same thing. And then the second thing is look through that and say, well, what has already been fulfilled that you can research and find? And then, of course, the rest of them are probably going to be unfulfilled. Sadly, I wish most of these had all been fulfilled, or maybe I don't. Anyway, here we go. So this first prophecy was given to him in 2013. He says 25 points of national events and judgments. He says the Lamb's eternal reign upon this earth is the cause of this. Now, can I not imagine an event that would bring that forth? But we'll move on. The USA government will fall. Well, that's not a surprise. Obama will be indicted and impeached with the impeachment process, and he will use the racial card to ignite widespread protests in many cities, and it will not end well. Well, that sounds like something that would have happened when he was in the office, but who knows? Who knows? I don't know. There will be a governmental takeover from within. Well, that's what Dimitri Duduman was told. The fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America. Okay? Chaos, anarchy, and lawlessness will ensue. Well, that's a former headline also from Terry Bennett. The government will deteriorate and then disintegrate. I don't think we've seen exactly that headline from someone else, but it's not too hard to imagine. This will be the judgment from God. A massive upheaval in D.C., including a major earthquake. Several others have seen a major earthquake. As I recall, one of them talked about the Washington Monument leaning. I think we read that 2 days ago. There will be a fractionalized government in the United States. Well, if there's an internal revolution, and we know that there's one coming, and if that internal revolution is the good guys kicking out the bad guys, and there's a lot of bad guys kicked out, then we can imagine that our whole government for a while would be fractionalized because most of the bad guys were removed, okay? Great civil unrest and conflict will rage. Millions will be lost. Again, that's not hard to imagine. It kind of fits with Dimitri. The nations will watch as this nation implodes upon itself. Well, it implodes because our bride has given us a bill of divorcement. It's because of our sin, because so many of our children whose parents were Christians, grandparents, great-great-grandparents were Christians, going back several generations, yet they went off to the godless college, started smoking dope and sleeping around, and as a result, they walked away from Jesus. And sad to say, there's a lot of that's happened. The UN will seek to help and intervene. I remember that from another one too. Russian troops will come for a time, fighting will erupt. Well, again, that's part of what Dimitri told, but that's also another prophecy from Travado. Okay? Some states will stand together against invasion. Well, I can see where that's not too difficult to predict there. The believers will be targeted, And for a specified time, many thousands will die. During the time of the mark of the beast, I would expect that. So you can see how they kind of fit together. The Russian withdrawal will become necessary. Well, I hope so. Many temporal or redemptive judgments will occur during this time. I want to say that has to do with the Great Revival, which we also know is coming. The economy of the nation will be greatly reduced. Food shortages, which this would make now the 15th or maybe even 16th prophecy. I got to count those up again too. They're stacking up. 16th prophecy is saying that a food shortage is coming to America, not just America, but to the whole world. Food shortages will be normal. Hunger will be great. Disease will become of plague type proportions in some areas. The glory of the Lord will arise on his bride. Well, that's straight out of Isaiah 60. Yes, we agree with that. The media that remains will report the exploits of the burning ones. Now, I want to believe the burning ones are maybe angels that are showing themselves during the last days when there's great turmoil on the earth. And that's kind of what the next one is saying. The cloud of witnesses will become visible to many, not just believers. That's probably angels showing themselves. Remember, the Lord told me as the judgment hits, so will my miracles like no one has seen, going all the way back to Adam and Eve. It's the great battle between Lucifer and Jesus for the last days. And by the way, Jesus wins. Angelic leaders will openly reveal their presence and work. Well, that again kind of sounds like we're talking about a supernatural time. Look, when the giants are released, when the mutants are released, when there's all kinds of high technology and lying signs and wonders, and God said he is going to meet the devil inch for inch, step for step, pound for pound, everything he does, I'm going to meet him. That sounds reasonable. Angelic leaders will openly reveal their presence and work. The nation will have a rebirth, and the great awakening will occur. Well, hallelujah, I look forward to that, and I think that's when we wind up in sports stadiums. Matter of fact, I should probably take a second. It's been a long time since I told you that story. I'd have to look up the exact date, but it was around 25 years ago. I was falling asleep one night, and I just kind of said under my breath, but I mean, it was words that came out of my mouth, and I just said, Lord, I just want to say that I love you more than I love my wife, more than I love my children, or ministry, or even the beat of my own heart and the breath of my own lungs, and fell off to sleep. And that was the first time he spoke to me. And I call this the eternity voice because it sounded like I was in the middle of a sphere, meaning this voice came from everywhere. And so whether it was in my ears, whether it was in my heart, I don't know. But it came from everywhere. And it said, I'm giving you part of the harvest from the seeds sown by Billy Graham. Let me say it again. I'm giving you part of the harvest from the seeds sown by Billy Graham. Then a 2-foot by 2-foot piece of paper appeared up into my right, and a two-handled sword, I held it with two hands, appeared in my hand. And I took the sword and I cut off about a third of that paper. And as I cut off that paper, it kind of bended down like that. And then it turned into a waterfall, that part that I cut off. And I believe he's saying that he's going to give me about the third the number of souls that he gave Billy Graham. Well, Billy Graham led meetings in sports stadiums all around the world for, 50 years, probably this generation's greatest soul winner. And I believe he's going to do that because he's bringing a lot of souls into his kingdom. And he's also told me that I should raise up an army of prophecy teachers working miracles. And that's what we're trying to do here. Okay, so anyway, the nation will have a rebirth, and the great awakening will occur. From the nation will arise a fearless, dedicated, bridal army of young and old. The nation's capital will be relocated to a different region. Well, that we're not surprised of either, such filthiness there in Washington, D.C. The Lord will appear over many areas of the nation as Lamb, Lion, and King. This has got to be a spiritual thing. Because the next time he returns is Revelation 14:1. I looked, and the Lord Lamb stood upon the Mount Zion, with him 144,000, having his Father's name written in their foreheads. That's the next time he returns. Then the final time he returns is about 4 months later, when Revelation 19, I saw a white horse, and he that sat upon it is called Faithful and True and Righteous, and he doth judge and make war. Okay, all that sort of stuff. That's Armageddon. So I don't understand how that one's going to happen. Maybe that's all part of the big revival. Headlines received August 2010. Washington, D.C. shaken. Rioting and looting continue. You recall, I believe, Cornerstone had a newspaper headline that said that the Washington Monument was leaning even more. Okay, so that fits too. We're looking for the things that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses are confirmed. Emergency meetings being held by U.S. Senate and Congress. Not hard to figure out. Worldwide economic confidence toward USA remains dim. Well, as our economy falls, as our nation falls, as the dollar falls to worthless, I can see where that's probably not too far away. Dow flops and drops to all-time lows. Other markets tumble as well. You know, I hate to see my nation fall apart, but I want to see souls won. And I can also see that as long as everything is blessed and people have plenty of food and water and a dry place to sleep, warm place to sleep, they don't need Jesus. So he is going to arrange exactly the right thing that they need at exactly the right time to win as many souls as is possible. Governors call for constitutional convention. Well, we're already seeing that people are coming against the Constitution, so that's not hard to imagine either. Emergency meetings of economic advisors called in Europe. Now, he says, editor's note, that occurred July the 10th in 2011. Asian markets seek stability within Asian region. Pull away from USA begins. That one may be happening this month or this year, because we already see that Saudi Arabia is starting to pull away. Many of the other nations pull away. They're starting to make basically an Asian economic agreement to all work together. So that's easy. That's probably pretty close. Martial law declared in the nation's capital, and I would also guess probably many other cities around the nation. I know that we've had other people, I think it was Cornerstone also, said martial law is coming. There's several. I'm going to guess we probably have 3 prophecies saying martial law. Resignation fever hits Washington, D.C. Well, I hope so. And I would like to see massive arrests. Matter of fact, I remember I told you guys about 2 years ago, I woke up from a dream, from taking an afternoon nap, like we old people do sometimes, and I heard 4 words. Massive arrests. Massive arrests. That's all I heard, 4 words. So I believe massive arrests and the internal revolution are still coming. Finger pointing continues to fuel resignations in Washington, D.C. I hope so. I hope there's a big cleaning out of all of the filthy nests in a lot of places. Matter of fact, beginning first with the church. Who will pick up the pieces refers to political offices. New People's Party gaining ground with hearts. Now, another person saw that there's going to be like a third party come along, and I'm going to guess that happens because the other 2 parties are so corrupt. Jobless rate passes 32%, expected to rise. Can you imagine 32%? I mean, they're thinking that 7 or 8% unemployment is just terrible. 32% of America is unemployed. Phew, man, that'd be bad. The big freeze. Government spending cut by 50%. Education and military at front of cuts. You remember Shane Warren said he saw people protesting, holding up signs, give us our entitlements, give us our entitlements. Well, that's saying that the government is spending, actually cut spending. And I remember there's another place where I think it was Shane Warren also said that he saw that the government could it's Shane Warren. Government could no longer take care of people. They had to return to the church. for help. The church was the one that had the help for the people. And I agree with that for reasons I can't say right now. Martial law declared in New York, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Miami, Chicago, and other U.S. cities. Makes perfect sense. I mean, we're seeing right now a destruction of our police agencies. Lights out, rolling electrical shortages expected to continue. Now, I mentioned here a few days ago that I just got a solar system installed in my house. And I didn't get it because I want to save money on my electricity. I got it because when everybody else's electricity goes out, I want to have electricity. See, I remember 2 years ago when the big cold hit Texas. And where I live, they turned the electricity off for 30 minutes, on 30 minutes, off 30 minutes, on 30 minutes, for probably about 24 hours. And I cannot tell you the damage that was done to people's homes because they didn't have electricity. There is nothing that will replace electricity when you need electricity. Which, by the way, you can go to solarsurge.net. Tell them Prophecy Club. I think there's a special price for people that do that. Solarsurge.net, and tell them Prophecy Club sent you. Okay, rolling electric outages expected to continue. We've heard that same kind of a newspaper headline from at least 3 other people, several dreams and visions. Here comes the sun will be reported again. It's already reported once. Oh, that I had wings that I might fly away. The night the lights went out in Georgia, Atlanta area hit hardest. Another one, the grid is going down. The grid, matter of fact, I think it was Cornerstone that just said that cyber attacks take out the electric grid. So you might want to think about that. If you have not been without electricity, I remember one time in Kansas because of a big storm when we lived up there 20 years ago. Electricity was out for 3 days. Oh, I mean, it changes your world big time, which is why I wanted solar. Matter of fact, to let you know, I got solar plus a battery backup plus a generator. And here's the way it works. So as long as I have solar, fine. But the problem is, just like the last 3 days, there's been no sun. So there's basically been no electricity coming from the solar. Now, if I had been off grid, if the electricity would have been down, of course, that's when it's going to go down when you need it the most, then the generator would have kicked on. And instead of the generator having to run constantly for 24 hours, it just runs to charge the batteries, and then it turns off, charges the battery. So more of the energy coming out of the generator is used, as opposed to maybe 10 or 20% of it is all you need, for the most part, to run your house. Anyway, so I'm just saying the best thing is solar plus battery plus generator. Okay, anyway. The dark night of the soul. Plume cloud covers over half of the United States. That sounds like it could be volcano, but it also sounds like it could be nuclear. Headlines received December 25 of 2010. Again, Terry Bennett. The meteor showers of 2012 and 2013. Now, I'm going to send my researchers out. I don't know if that happened or not. Probably did. Northern oceans show signs of heating up. 12-degree flux. You remember the one from, I think it was Cornerstone. It could have been John Paul Jackson. But they were specifically saying that the ocean was heating up and a lot of fish were dying. That was part of the headline. Eurodollar is in trouble. Falls to new low. We expect that. Dollar dies, a lot of other currencies get in trouble. It's been said if America gets a cold, the rest of the world has pneumonia. Germany and France forge alliance. Well, I can see that almost already happening. German and French currency unveiled, others consider participation. Yep, I can see that coming. Japan shaken awake, early morning quake measures 7.7, more tremors expected. One of them said that they saw that Japan just sunk right into the water. Totally gone, okay? Taiwan's government seeks expanded powers. 9.1 plus quake rocks Japanese island. Poor Japanese, they're going to be hit with a lot, aren't they? Sleepless in Seattle. Mount Rainier awakens while residents lose sleep. See, that might be a volcano we was talking about, that plume. New America's currency unveiled fosters angry debates. Remember, I told you, matter of fact, it was Chris Reed said he saw that the cell phone, my granddaughter, the cell phone is going to become the new dollar. Digital currency is coming, my friend. I mean, it has to. The agony of silence. A U.S. Navy Trident submarine is lost. That's big news. Deep in the heart of Texas, independence fervor in Austin, more rallies planned. Us Texans don't like a whole lot of things going on in the nation, and we consider, how do I say this kindly? We consider California on the bottom of the list. We love Californians, but we don't like the evil in California. Fatal attraction, the concerns over increased magnetism of our planet. You remember in the headlines just the other day, there was one that says we don't know where the North Pole is because it's moving. Another headline said it's someplace in Russia. Well, Isaiah, got so many of them now. Isaiah 61, 63, someplace in there, said the earth turneth upside down and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. Another place that says it reels to and fro like a drunkard. This fits with we're in the last days. Russia and China face off. Arguments heat up with new threats. I told you, Dmitry was told China will come up and go against Russia. God raise up China, Japan, many of the nations, they'll go against the Russians. India's shaky ground, northern quakes challenge infrastructure. They say that this occurred back in 2011. Well, don't necessarily count on it. These kind of things are going to be occurring over and over in the same places. Philippines brace for new violence. Government and Christians targeted. Islam's cell on the attack. Christians, you better get ready because they are coming after us. Mexico City jolted by bomb. Reprisals expected. Mexico shaken by northern quakes and eruption. Well, you know, Mexico has a lot of volcanoes all over. Of course, they've been mostly dormant, but a lot of the volcanoes are going to wake up. Iraq erupts in unprecedented violence. Insecurity exposed and oil threatens. We've already seen that Iraq right now is having a lot of violence. We haven't seen any kind of a big eruption, and we haven't seen the oil threatened. So stay tuned. This one is probably about to take place, possibly in the next few months. Saudi Arabia halts oil flow to USA. Israel braces for multi-front war. Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Iran, and Israeli mobilize. Saudis on full alert. Remember Leslie was told that Israel and America are going to go against most of the rest of the Arab world. Greece, Italy, Spain join German and French alliance of economies. Canadian quake shocks British Columbia, Vancouver affected. So, as Matthew 24 says, that earthquakes will be in diverse places or various places all over the globe. So all of these make perfect sense. Major rioting in Baltimore threatened services and deliveries. The riots of Montreal, Canada, French disturbance. These headlines came to Terry Bennett 2011. Pharmaceutical nightmare, uncovering the hidden intentions and cover-ups. Well, I hope they do. Big money versus the hidden long-term health effects of drugs. I think our pharmaceutical industry has done us some terrible injustice. Overhauling the FDA, unveiling the corruption of payoffs and buyouts. The trial for the unborn, the conscious pulse of our nation, to vote or not to vote, and a nation hanging in the balance. I think a lot of people right now are not believing that their vote is really counting. I think that they have lost a lot of confidence in the American voting system. The taming of the shrewd. Restrictions and transparency measures increased toward Wall Street investors, insurers, and the business of profit. Big problems coming financially. I fell into the burning ring of fire, the ring of fire ablaze. The ring of fire has to do with volcanoes and earthquakes and things like that. The burning of our fields, my guess is that is wheat fields, corn fields, things like that. From historical practice to modern catastrophe. I've said that with just as scalar wave can light a forest on fire, it can start our wheat fields, our corn fields on fire. I mean, it can do immeasurable damage, and they can't find out where it came from. The season of burning, a South Chicago blaze, a New York blaze, and a San Francisco fire. The embattled Bill of Rights, the basis of our freedoms on trial. See, America's falling apart. Washington, D.C. embroiled. Protesters unlimited. Constitution questioned. This is the second one on this one. Constitution opposed, constitutional changes, constitutional convention, a line drawn in the sand in Texas. Breakup, breakdown, or breakthrough. Which will it be? United we stand or divided we stand? Well, when I grew up, I heard united we stand or divided we fall. And what's coming is divided we fall. Protesting the Republican and Democrat parties, their power challenged in court. We're not the United States of America anymore. We're the divided states of America. The day the dams broke, seismic activity in the Midwest. Dust in the wind, the Kansas nightmare. Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and Nebraska. Drought, heat, and windstorms, Dust Bowl type conditions. Prices versus wages. The poor, the wealthy, the profit margin, and battle lines. No military surplus. A closed pocketbook to military wish lists as America falls apart. The last of that battle between the Marine Corps, the few, and the proud may become fewer. Necessary or unnecessary, corps or single brigade, will they survive? So we're talking about just disbanding the Marine Corps. Islam, American politics and policy, exploring the boundaries of religious freedom. Oil prices, oil crisis, and big oil in crisis, manipulation, money and monopolizing. When you don't have Jesus at the center of your business, at the center of your church, and at the center of your nation, all kinds of problems happen. A nuclear reactor that's overreacting. The threat of radiation poisoning in America. Headlines received 2012, Terry Bennett again. A band of brothers, Rule 101, states' rights governors united to take a stand. The Mission Impossible mission, helping the woes of the euro. Free falling. How do we stop the stock drops? The Leaning Tower of Italy. Will it all fall? The London Bridge is falling down. See again, earthquakes in various places. The London Bridge is just falling down from stumble to tumble and still falling. Number 6, the day the earth stood still, the sum of all fears. Okay, so is this saying that the earth is literally going to stop rotating? It may be saying that, although I don't see anything in the prophecies that say that. I do see that the sun goes out, so that may be a possibility. The silencing of the lambs, crackdown on churches, voices, and money. And of course, Cornerstone's talked about that too. Another bite out of the Big Apple, a shaken city responds. Oh man. Well, as much sin as there is in New York City, you can expect all kinds of problems there. The muzzling of the oxen, free speech is costly. Well, yeah, the devil doesn't like free speech because he doesn't want the truth getting out. The postman isn't coming. Reduction and closures of personnel and offices. Cornerstone's also talked about the post office going to shut down. The day the dams broke, nature's fury revealed. As earthquakes hit, you can imagine some very big and very damaging dams could be broken and release the water and kill millions of people. The shots heard round the world, but there were some who resisted. Face-off turned bloody. You know, that's probably something like what just happened in Memphis when somebody from the establishment is killing one of the citizens. Slow down, meltdown, crackdown, showdown. Banks holding on to your money. That's why they want to have digital currency, so that they're in control of the money. Because if it were gold or silver, which, by the way, that's probably a good reason why you want to go to cornerstoneassetmetals.com and get yourself some gold and silver, because the bank can't take it if they don't know where it is. And gold and silver is God's money, and right up until the day of Armageddon, you're going to be able to use gold and silver to transact with. Now, it'll be more in a barter situation, but having gold and silver, having some Joseph's Kitchen food, very good ideas. No bridge over troubled waters, an impossible deluge at the Mississippi River as an 8.8 earthquake strikes. Well, now we know. We have known for a long time that there's going to be an earthquake, and it's going to open up the Mississippi, it'll open up Mississippi all the way up to the Great Lakes, and they'll go Leslie Saw all the way down to Tupelo, Mississippi. Others have seen that it opens up all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. No bridge over troubled waters, an impossible deluge at the Mississippi River as an 8.8 earthquake strikes. This happens. God splits America because we split Israel. The final countdown, the insanity to nuclear conflict. So we do see that a nuclear war is coming before it hits. But the problem is we already see it coming now. Dimitri was told about it in 1984. The deadly outbreak, new and terrifying children's diseases. A cyber war commences. Well, that's what Cornerstone said the other day when he said that cyber is going to bring outages to the grid, nationwide blackouts in various places. Survival of the fittest or hostile takeovers. Banking clan abolishes the small guys. That's what they want to do. They want to take over so that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. The northern bear returns from hibernation. The bear's appetite for lands and control. That's what Dimitri was told too, that the bear would awake and grow angry, and then the people that coming against the bear would be like men with fighting a big bear with sticks. Hoodwinked. The innocent face of the big bad wolf. The wolf unmasks itself, but some are not afraid of the globalists. So the big bad wolf, or those people want to push for a new world order, a world government, so they can put their man, the Antichrist, on the Ark of the Covenant, the golden throne of God. The altered landscape of Europe. New nations emerge from chaos. Well, we do know that there's going to be a 10-nation global confederacy, Daniel chapter 7. And then there will be an 11th one come up, that another horn, he has a face as the face of a man. And that 11th horn will overcome 3 of the other nations. That's what it's talking about. So, this should be saying to us all, we all need to stop sinning, repent, and turn to Jesus. We got to start talking to people that don't want to hear about Jesus now. And we need to get prepared. And for preparations, I'll send you to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. For EMP, I would send you to empshield.com. Use the promo code prophecy. And for food, I'd send you to josephkitchen.com. Use the promo code prophecy club. And for information on Bible prophecy, I'll send you to prophecyclub.com. Get the Watchman's package. The best thing there is the Watchman's package. It has everything. It took me about 20 minutes to make these 2 loaves in my kitchen at an ingredient cost of about $12 each. In a time of food shortage and emergency, I'm going to cut each one of these loaves into 14 slices. Eat a slice in the morning and the afternoon, I'll be satisfied. You want long-term food storage? You want to cut your food costs? Here it is. Eat 2 whole wheat bread slices daily for about a year for about $800 each. JosephKitchen.com's wheat berries come in a nitrogen-infused 7-gallon pail for long-term storage. Most other emergency food costs about $10,000 per person per year. That's right, about $10,000 per person per year. But at Joseph Kitchen, you could do it for about $1,000 per person per year. Now, to get started at josephkitchen.com, you're going to need a machines package. That's going to give you the grinder, the bread machine, the knife slicer, all you need to make bread, and then you decide how much food you want to get. You want food 6 people 1 year, 4 people 1 year, 2 people 1 year, or just 1 person for a year, all at josephskitchen.com. About $1,000 per person per year at josephskitchen.com. Use the promo code Prophecy Club. Get you a $50 discount. josephskitchen.com, promo code Prophecy Club for a $50 discount on your first order. Terry Saka of CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. So why should people call you today?
This is no longer a United States of America issue. In 2023, there will be a systemic global recession that is going to deepen, and we better protect our assets now because the dollar is not going to survive that like we think.
CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. Give them a call, talk to them, just open an account, start a dialogue, and see where the Lord wants to take you. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com. Leslie Johnson had a prophecy back in 2011. She says, the Lord says there's going to be something put into the water supply in many cities of the nation. People will begin to get sick, some will die. Get a good, reliable water filter. You will not be able to trust the tap water or the bottled water. You must get something to filter the water you are going to need. That's back in 2011. So if you want it, we suggest you go to prophecyclub.com. You click right here where it says Berkeys. This is what it looks like. Currently, all Berkeys are in stock. The one I have is this guy right here. It's the Crown. It has 8 filters. I recommend you get as much as you can afford, and also recommend you get some extra filters. That's at prophecyclub.com.